My name is Julia Parrish, and I am the director of the program on the environment, which is the undergraduate environmental studies degree here on campus at UW. In my research life, I spend a lot of time out on uninhabited islands along the coast, primarily of the West Coast, studying seabirds. During the Exxon Valdez, I was a young postdoctoral fellow here at the University of Washington and had a chance to go up to the Gulf of Alaska to not Prince William Sound, but if you go west of Prince William Sound, you get to a set of islands called the Barren Islands. So named because they are very windy, and so not a lot of trees there. And they happen to be one of the larger seabird colonies in the Gulf of Alaska. So I spent, 2 or 3 years post Exxon Valdez looking at the health of the seabird populations, many different species that nest on the Barrens, and had a chance to really witness the change in population and the accompanying, I would say, social and sociocultural changes that were happening as a consequence of the Valdez spill. In my mind, there's 2 answers to how to get people involved after a large oil spill, and particularly with reference to cleaning up natural resources, both inanimate ones like beaches and living ones like birds or marine mammals. I think that as hard as it is to understand this, birds that have been seriously oiled are almost always compromised. That is to say, their health, their bodies are so stressed out by that oiling that their immune systems largely cannot deal with it. So we can clean up the outside, and we've become very, very good at that, at picking up birds and processing them. But it's very, very hard to get them back on a healthy track. So we can clean them up and we can release them back into the environment. But there's actually quite a bit of controversy about whether those birds will survive, which is not to say that they will all die immediately. Certainly people who do bird washing, for instance, have gotten much, much better at rehab. But the cost involved in doing that is really astronomical. And certainly as a seabird biologist and also a conservation biologist, I would say that there's a danger in the public assuming that by going out and you're a shrimp fisherman in the Gulf and you want to help, and so you go out and you're rescuing pelicans or gannets that are oiled and scooping them up and putting them on your boat and taking them back to a rehab center, and you feel that you have actually done something to help the environment. Like as not, you haven't. But we have spent a lot of money doing that. And I think that people need to realize there are some disasters that happen where we really can't save everything. In thinking about how disasters in general, whether they're human generated or natural, affect populations of birds, a big step back that you might want to take is to ask the question, well, what kills these populations naturally? So before humans and drilling for oil made it onto the scene, was it that we had millions of extra seabirds before there was industrial fishing and we had issues with bycatch, that is, birds that are inadvertently captured by fishing vessels? Were there just more birds? Have we done them in and depressed the populations? And certainly in some cases the answer to that is yes, but in many cases the answer to that is no. And that is because there are regular cycles, annual cycles, that really press birds to the edge. And those are largely surrounding breeding. So any parent knows it takes a lot of energy to raise a kid. Now, for humans, that cycle is 20 to 30 years. For birds, that cycle is annual. So the amount of energy you put into laying eggs, sitting on those eggs, hatching them out, and then feeding those hungry little chicks and defending them from your neighbors and from predators really takes it out of you. You'll lose weight. You'll be like that set of new parents with gray circles under their eyes, right? So here are these birds, they're losing weight, they're trying to grow their kids up. That's happening over just a few week period, and they fledge the chicks or get the chicks to leave the nest and fly away. And then they've done their job. By that time, they're very thin. They're really tired. They want to take a break. That happens just at the conclusion of the summer when the fall storms are starting. And that physical change can have a big effect on birds. So the hurricane season that's starting in late summer, early fall can really do a lot of birds in. Post-breeding mortality, winter kill, when conditions are tough, really kills more seabirds than any single disaster. But that's natural. We expect it. We can see that signal in what washes up on a beach on an annual cycle. And it's also dispersed both in space and time. Disasters like an oil spill are very, very concentrated. And now with today's media, we're glued to our iPhones and we're glued to our computers. We can see on a daily basis where that oil is. And people can literally rush to those places to try and, if not look, go farther and try and help rescue things. So my sense is that with the rise, not only of news, but also social media, people are aware of disasters, and they are still blissfully ignorant of the ebb and flow of nature and life and the annual cycles that have always been there and the degree to which those annual cycles really structure the population. So we need to weave that information back into the, oh my gosh, it's an oil spill. And provide that background, that context within which people can place disasters and think about them.